Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we'll be discussing on how we can select the perfect cloud service provider for your business. But before that, if you're new here, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell as well. Before we come to our main topic, it's better to have a brief understanding on what cloud computing is and who these cloud service providers are. Cloud computing is a term that refers to any type of hosted service that is supplied through the internet, and cloud users may access files and applications stored in the cloud from anywhere in the world, since the data is stored on a network of hosted computers that communicate over the internet. Cloud service providers take care of your infrastructure so that you can focus on your core business objectives. Choosing the right cloud service provider has become critical to long-term success. However, the available market is vast as services are offered by market giants like Microsoft, Amazon, and Google. There are also smaller providers. Some of these niche providers are more specialized and can provide services that suit your needs specifically. So how do you select the right cloud service provider from so many amazing providers out there? First, understand that choosing an ideal cloud service provider is a need, it is not a choice. Plus, it's undoubtedly the most difficult portion of the overall cloud transformation process. Most businesses, whether in the healthcare sector, industrial, construction, or IT, are migrating to the cloud as it is very convenient and useful. So now we'll discuss about the top 5 crucial factors that you must consider when you're trying to find the best cloud service provider for your business. Fifth one is scalability. Scalability in cloud computing refers to the ability to increase or decrease IT resources as needed to meet changing demand. Evaluating the cloud provider's scalability can be done through infrastructure points like bandwidth, load balancers, servers, data warehouses, and many more. And analyzing its long and short-term growth strategy and level of service is really important. Will the cloud provider be able to maintain and improve service levels with the growth of its business and clients? Bear in mind how simple it is to scale your business as it grows. If you are choosing a provider has a point in production system that slows or stops progress, you may be forced to switch providers. This will result in several difficulties. By confirming their use limit, you will save considerable time. Now let's come to the fourth factor, which is BCDR. BCDR refers to business continuity and disaster recovery. It shows the service provider's capacity to restore hosting services after an interruption caused by a disruptive event like a natural disaster. The CSP must be able to recognize the many sorts of risks that might obstruct the business and establish methods to reduce them. So other variables that indicate BCDR requirements of the providers include data replication at multiple points and infrastructure redundancy at different levels. It's a standard component of any hosting provider, any cloud hosting provider, and you should not anticipate any additional fees. Now let's come to the third factor, which is support. For the cloud software to be used by users to its fullest potential, training is a really important factor. Make sure that the cloud provider has well-developed training programs, understand what kind of training is provided for new users as well as for system upgrades. Also, ensure that the cloud provider can handle support inquiries if your organization runs into problems or has specific questions. Some hosting services provide help for a restricted number of instances and only during business hours. If you anticipate yourself or your employees to work on holidays or weekends, choose a hosting service that provides unrestricted 24/7 assistance, including on weekends and holidays is the best option. Ask questions upfront about what level and form of support you will have access to before you choose the service provider. Make sure you examine each cloud provider for the services it offers for migration, because without a cloud provider's assistance, you will be left stranded and will be forced to deploy your own team for setup and migration. Most cloud service providers have assessment tools to assist in migration, with specific tools to support database, server, or application migration. Now let's come to the second factor, which is SLA contracts. So SLA stands stands for Service Level Agreement. This is a written agreement that specifies the service terms, conditions, and standards. This document also specifies how the hosting provider will pay if the set requirements are not met. You may also ask the service provider to develop a unique SLA for bespoke cloud solutions. Before deciding on a cloud hosting service, it is suggested that you properly study the SLA. Clear service level expectations must be documented within the service level agreement, including penalty clauses and conditions for undelivered service or unmet expectations. There are other things included in the document as well, like who owns the data, the procedure of getting the customer's data back to the customer in the case of a subscription, contract termination or expiration, and how fast customers' data change requests can be processed by the vendor. You need to be able to trust your cloud provider to do the right thing, and you need a legal agreement that will back you up if something goes wrong. So make sure you go through everything in the SLA contract. Now let's come to the first main factor, which is security. This is security. There is absolutely no room for error when it comes to security. You want to understand precisely what your security goals are, the security measures that are offered by each provider, and the mechanisms they use to preserve your applications and data. How will the vendor protect your data from viruses, hackers, and theft? Whether or not the vendor has its own data center and cloud technology, or whether they use one of those large providers like Amazon Web Services or Microsoft Azure. What security features are offered free out of the box for each vendor you're evaluating? There are many other questions that you can ask yourself when you're talking about security. Make sure you do an extensive research on the cloud service provider's website that they offer sufficient data protection and have legal data management policies in place so that they could handle and manage your data efficiently without any loss. Ensure they are trusted, well-established, and authorized cloud service providers who will secure your data with a weekly or a monthly backup and ensure confidentiality as well. So it's critical to ask detailed and explicit questions that relate to your unique use cases, regulatory requirements, and any other concerns you may have. Do not neglect to evaluate this essential feature of operating in the cloud. That wraps up the top 5 factors you must consider when you choose a cloud service provider. While you recognize and validate both the certifications and standards, see what their customers say about them in the case studies and testimonials as well. Think about the long-term success. Take time to establish workable SLAs and contractual terms, as they are the main form of assurance you have that the service will be delivered as agreed. That brings us to the end of the video. I hope it was useful, and don't forget to share this video, subscribe to my channel, and hit that like button as well.